Grand General Varric watched the live feed from the fortress moon. The humans kept advancing. They were supposed to die in the first wave.
They're offering a ceasefire. Why are the humans still shooting? Get me the human commander.
On the surface, Sergeant Major Daniel Reeves walked through the smoke, his exo-armor scarred and bleeding. He had heard the hail.
Ceasefire noted. Keep pushing.
4 separate Kreth surrender requests flashed across Varric's console. The humans ignored every one.
This was not the plan. Find me Reeves, now.
But there were no direct orders. There was only a treaty, written in desperation, and a war that was never meant to end this way. 6 weeks earlier, the Coalition's High Council had gathered in that same chamber. The war was a stalemate, the treasury drained.
Clause 7 of the Earth Accord. We can conscript their able-bodied. They will serve as auxiliary infantry.
Earth had little choice. 200,000 humans were drafted as auxiliary infantry, expected to soak fire. They forgot to tell the humans that. The conscripts were herded onto dropships under the cold gazes of Coalition overseers. To them, humans were ammunition.
They are barely trained. The Kreth will mow them down in the first wave. It will buy us time.
Inside the dim hold, Sergeant Major Daniel Reeves sat motionless, his scarred armor a promise. He had no illusions.
Listen up. They figure we're dumb enough to bleed for them. Let's prove we're smart enough to survive.
Corporal Mira Chen, I've got your 6, Sarge. Just point me at the enemy.
Private Okafor, don't let the armor fool you. I am even louder in person. Let's crack some skulls.
We're not dying for the Coalition. We're winning for Earth. And we don't stop until the job's done.
The drop ship shuddered as it detached from the carrier, gravity pressing them into their harnesses. The fortress moon loomed below.
So this is it. Just like the simulations, right, Sarge? Except the Sims didn't smell like recycled air and fear.
Sims don't bleed. Keep your eyes open and your knife closer. We do this clean.
The dropship slammed onto the moon's surface, throwing up regolith. Daniel's squad surged out as pulse fire slashed overhead.
Standard approach is suicide. We go through the maintenance tunnels. Mira, you are point.
Got it. Sub-level access hatch. 30 meters ahead. Thermal shows no movement.
Okafor slapped a jetpack onto the sealed hatch. The blast peeled it open, a gash of smoke and sparking wires.
Breach made. Come on, we own this rock.
In the command center, Grand General Varric's tactical display flickered with early engagement data. The first wave had not disintegrated.
Casualty report. These numbers are impossible. The Krith should have slaughtered them in minutes.
His aide pointed to the Krith BattleNet chatter, which was flooding with panic codes. The enemy were screaming for reinforcements.
Less than 30% losses. They have punched through the outer shield. This is not cannon fodder. It is a nightmare.
The Coalition had unleashed something terrible, and they had not written the off switch. Daniel's squad cut through the Krath command bunker like a blade through rotting silk. 6 hours. That was all it took.
Commander, you have 10 seconds to drop your weapons and broadcast unconditional surrender. After that, I stop asking.
I yield. I yield. The fortress is yours. Please, spare my soldiers.
Noted. Mira, secure the prisoners. Okafor, prep the next objective. We move in 5.
The Krath fortress, which had repelled 3 Coalition assaults over 12 years, fell in a single afternoon, and the humans did not rest. In the Coalition command center, General Varric received the field report. His drink cup shattered on the floor.
They took the entire fortress in 6 hours? That is not auxiliary performance. That is a strategic catastrophe. I conscripted them to die slowly, not to win quickly. If this continues, the war will be over before we can negotiate terms.
There were no protocols for this. The Coalition had built their strategy on human expendability. They had been outplayed by their own weapon. The war was ending, And that was the problem. Grand General Varric stormed into the High Command Chamber, his ornate coat flapping. The other generals were already bickering over the human advance.
They are not following orders. If the Krath surrender now, we lose everything. The humans must be reined in.
The Krath Imperium transmitted a formal surrender across all channels. We yield unconditionally, cease hostilities.
We beg the Coalition to accept our capitulation. Command your soldiers to cease their relentless assault.
Daniel's communications officer relayed the message. He stood over the console, his knife resting on the edge, expression unchanged.
Acknowledged. Not our responsibility. Keep the pressure on.
Varric's console lit up with the Krath plea, even as he watched human troop movements overrun another Krath position on the tactical display.
Issue a stand-down order. Flood their logistics with contradictory directives. Bury them in procedure.
The Coalition command staff began drafting conflicting orders, hoping to strangle the human advance with bureaucracy. It was too late, but Daniel's unit was already breaching the next fortress. They didn't read memos. The Coalition had created a weapon with no off switch. The recall order arrived in the middle of a breach, a flashing red directive demanding all human units halt and await coordination. Daniel saw it on his HUD, a flicker of text in the corner of his vision. He swiped it away and kept advancing through smoke.
Request clarification. Are we still at war with the Krath Imperium?
We can sustain on captured Krath supplies for weeks. Ammo, medpacks, even rations. Ignore the desk jockeys.
Before the Coalition could respond, a second surrender transmission arrived directly from the Krath Home Council.
We are laying down our arms. Please, accept our unconditional surrender.
2 surrenders in an hour, and still the humans march. This is a catastrophe.
Then, a third surrender. The Krath High Chancellor herself came on the channel, voice cracking as she begged the Coalition to accept.
This is a disaster. How do we command soldiers who refuse to accept the enemy surrender?
The Coalition had run out of paperwork. They needed something far more drastic. The Krath Imperium, cornered and bleeding, transmitted a formal complaint directly to the Galactic Council, accusing the Coalition of war crimes.
We receive a grave grievance. The Coalition refuses enemy surrender. This violates the conventions of sentient conflict.
The Council responded with a threat of crippling sanctions, trade embargoes, frozen assets, a diplomatic quarantine of the Aurelian sector.
If the sanctions hit, our war gains vanish. We must redirect the blame onto the humans themselves. We will petition the Council ourselves. Frame the conscripts as renegade elements that refuse command. It's our only shield.
The petition was drafted in frantic haste, casting the humans as uncontrollable barbarians, a weapon that had turned against its makers.
By the authority vested in this council, I summon an emergency session. All involved parties will present their cases.
Grand General Varric stared at the summons, his ornate uniform suddenly feeling like a straitjacket. The Coalition was about to plead for its own survival.
The Council must intervene. Humanity will not cease unless the galaxy itself commands it.
The stage was set for the trial of a species. The Coalition had lit the fuse. Now they had to survive the blast. The Galactic Council chamber was packed. Delegates from 100 worlds focused on the accused parties in the Ring of Light.
I am Grand General Varric. The human conscripts were given operational limits. They have exceeded them and refused to obey.
They are not soldiers. They are a plague. We have surrendered 4 times. They do not stop.
Summon the human commander. Let him explain his people's actions before this council.
The chamber doors swung open. Daniel walked in, his armor still smelling of cordite. Kill marks on his shoulder plate caught the light. No one spoke. Delegates shrank back as he passed. He stopped in the center, facing the presider.
It's him, the one who took the fortress. We are already dead.
Sergeant Major Daniel Reeves. You stand accused of disregarding Krath's surrenders. How do you answer?
Daniel looked up. His expression was calm, bored, as if the galaxy's judgment was an annoyance. He said nothing. The grin remained fixed. The silence grew heavier than any weapon.
We were drafted under Clause 7 of the Earth Accord. Our mission was to win the war. Surrender is an end state, not an order to us. We keep going until the job's done. If the Coalition wants us to stop winning, that's a contract revision, not a command.
Insubordination. You exploit a loophole to keep fighting, even as the enemy begs for mercy.
Loophole. General, your lawyers wrote the treaty. Check the fine print.
The chamber erupted. Delegates shouted over each other. Presider Valis slammed a hand on the podium, demanding order.
Bring forth the Earth Accord. This council will examine the terms of conscription.
A massive holographic projection of the treaty materialized, its ancient script scrolling to Clause 7.
It states conscripts are duty-bound to prosecute the war effort to its full conclusion. There is no provision for early cessation.
Grand General Varric slumped back, his gold and crimson coat suddenly heavy. The legal noose tightened around the Coalition's neck. The council called a recess. Grand General Varric cornered Daniel in the antechamber, away from the delegates' eyes.
Reeves, I have the authority to promote you to colonel. Wealth, lands, anything. Just stand your men down.
I don't have the authority to change the mission. Only Earth can alter the contract. Talk to our government.
Within the hour, a secure line to Earth's diplomatic corps crackled to life. The Coalition's request was terse. Name your price to revise the treaty. The response came swift and hard. Earth will accept immediate payment equivalent to 1 full standard galactic year of the Aurelian Coalition's gross domestic product. In the Coalition Finance Ministry, a senior minister turned pale, clutched his chest, and collapsed onto a data console.
A year's GDP. They'll drain our treasury. But if we don't pay, the sanctions will be worse.
The council reconvened in emergency session. Varric stood, his voice raw, to accept Earth's terms.
We will pay. The funds will transfer within the cycle. Just make the humans stand down.
Earth's diplomats smiled. The legal trap had sprung, and the Coalition's desperation was now the universe's most expensive invoice. In the council chamber, Presider Valis produced a physical contract revision, its parchment glowing with archaic script. The Coalition's fate was penned in ink.
The terms are accepted. Earth's conscripts will cease hostilities upon confirmation of payment transfer.
The Coalition Treasury authorized the transfer. A year's GDP drained from their vaults in a single blink of a holographic confirmation. The stand-down order reached Daniel in the bunker. He sat, sharpening his knife, the message flickering softly on his data slate.
Contract revised. Understood. All units, prepare for withdrawal. Show paid. Show over.
He slid the serrated blade into its sheath, the sound echoing like a closing door. The killing was over. For now, in the command center, Grand General Varric watched the live feed as human momentum finally slowed. He felt no relief, only a hollow financial victory.
The war is over, but the treasury is gutted, and the Krath will negotiate from strength. We have lost.
They have stopped. The nightmare is over. We can finally accept their surrender.
The payment was logged. The greatest invoice in galactic history marked the end of the 90-year war, and humanity's bill had come due. Sergeant Major Reeves keyed his command frequency. The withdrawal order pulsed across every human unit.
Aw, come on, Sarge. We were just getting warmed up. They owe us a few more fights, a few more medals.
Shut it, Okafor. Payday. We did what we were paid to do. That's the job.
We're professionals. We don't fight because we like it. We fight because we're paid, contract satisfied. Pack up.
The human forces began an orderly withdrawal, loading onto dropships without a single complaint or look back. In the Coalition Command Center, Varric watched the retreat on the tactical display. The Krath had not fired a shot, but his treasury was bleeding.
They are leaving. Finally. But they are doing so calmly, efficiently. A weapon that stops when the contract is fulfilled. We should have just paid them from the start.
On the fortress moon, Krath's soldiers peered from shattered bunkers as the human dropships lifted. They did not celebrate. They just watched. The last human transport rose on a pillar of blue fire, its hull glinting with the Coalition's lost wealth. Daniel stood alone on the pad, his knife sheathed. The war was over. The Coalition had victory, but every coin they spent was a reminder of their own blunder. A 90-year war settled in 6 weeks by mercenaries. At the spaceport, the last human transports hummed. A Krath envoy scuttled toward the boarding ramp, clutching an ornate woven basket. Envoy Telk's mandibles quivered as he bowed low, thrusting the basket towards Sergeant Major Reeves.
A token of our eternal gratitude. Please, accept our surrender. Again. And do not return.
Daniel's dead-eyed grin widened. He took the basket without a word, his knife still hanging at his belt.
A fruit basket. Cute. The Coalition paid in cash, the Krath pay in produce.
We're done here. Your surrender is noted. Talk to the Coalition for the rest.
The Krath envoy sagged with relief, his compound eyes gleaming wetly as he watched the humans depart. Behind Daniel, Mira caught a glimpse of the basket's contents. Bioluminescent fruits that pulsed soft amber light. The last human soldiers boarded the dropship. The ramp hydraulics hissed, sealing them in. The war was a paid contract now, and the invoice had been delivered, stamped in fruit and blood. Grand General Varric stood before the Coalition High Council, his ornate coat rumpled. The inquiry was swift and brutal. Incompetence, financial malpractice, reckless endangerment of Imperial assets.
I sought only victory. The treaty was obsolete. No one expected humans to exploit it.
But the Council had already voted. Varric was stripped of active command and ordered to oversee the post-war financial audits, a ceremonial posting meant to humiliate until he resigned. The Treasury report arrived next. The payment to Earth had drained the discretionary war fund, and the Krath, now emboldened, were negotiating from a position of strength. The proposed peace terms gave the Krath favorable trade concessions and border adjustments, terms the Coalition had fought for 90 years to avoid.
They thank the humans and fleece us. The galaxy is laughing at the Coalition. I conscripted them to die. Instead, they made me a beggar.
He dragged a piece of parchment across his desk and began to write, each stroke a plea for escape. The Coalition's victory was complete, and completely hollow. But for Sergeant Major Reeves, the war was just another line item, another invoice, paid in full. The human fleet descended over Earth a week later. Cities blazed with light, and every channel broadcast the same image. The victorious return. The victory parade was a frantic, improvised affair. Confetti cannons, marching bands, and a sea of cheering billions.
Look at this. They're treating us like rock stars. I could get used to this.
That evening, in a barracks rec room, the squad sat with lukewarm beer and watched the news. The anchor's tone was both triumphant and ironic. The Coalition's payment of Earth's annual GDP is being hailed as reparations for an illegal draft. Citizens are calling it the most profitable conscription in history.
We got paid to break their war. Best draft ever.
Don't let it go to your head. Next contract might be less generous.
The price was right. They paid. We delivered.
The news then cut to a brief clip, an interview with Daniel, standing in his scarred armor. The crowd's roar behind him. The anchor's question was blunt.
For the right price.
Later that night, in a quiet barracks room, Daniel Reeves sat alone. The victory celebrations were distant noise. A courier had left a thick envelope on his footlocker, the Coalition's formal decoration for valor, signed by a council that would never speak his name again. He didn't open it. Instead, he slid it under his coffee mug, a coaster for lukewarm synth-calf. Across the room, the Krath fruit basket sat on the floor, untouched. Its bioluminescent glow pulsed softly. The knife moved with rhythmic precision, honing the edge, kill marks catching the light.
A medal for winning. A fruit basket for stopping. Same contract.
He tested the blade against his thumb, a single bead of crimson welling. Satisfied, he wiped it clean. The war was a closed account. The invoice paid. He looked up at the camera, and for a long moment, that dead-eyed grin did not waver, fade to black. Somewhere in the depths of space, the Krath Imperium transmitted a final message to their would-be conquerors. The Krath High Council formally thanks humanity for finally, reluctantly, accepting our unconditional surrender. We hope the exotic fruit basket was a fitting tribute to your formidable and relentless prowess on the battlefield. A long moment of static followed. No one on Earth replied. The silence was itself an answer. Then the channel cut, leaving only the soft, indifferent hum of interstellar static. The screen remained black, as if the galaxy was holding its breath, waiting for a punchline. Then, slowly, the credits began to scroll upward, accompanied by a haunting, ironic melody. Names of the crew, the voice actors, the artists who had crafted this dark comedy of errors. And at the very end, a final still image emerged from the black. Daniel's dead-eyed grin, freezing, fade to black. The end. After the credits, the screen flickered. Earth's Global Fund had received the Coalition's payment. A single line of text scrolled across the bottom of the global feed. Transaction complete. Human bureaucrats smiled. Not out of malice, but out of a quiet, professional satisfaction. Their job was done. In his office, General Varek stared at a fruit basket of his own, a gift from the Krath. A silent insult.
Even the fruit mocks me now.
Somewhere, Daniel Reeves sheathed his knife. The kill marks were dry. The contract was closed.
War's just business. We're just the invoice.
The galaxy moved on. But in every war college, they now teach the human clause. Never conscript what you cannot afford to fire. On a forgotten moon, a Krath child traced the kill mark symbols etched into a wreckage, trying to understand. The war was a scar. The invoice was a legend. And the grin remained. The Galactic Council reconvened to ratify the emergency amendment. The chamber was solemn. No one wanted another invoice.
Clause 7 is hereby revised. Any conscripted force will cease combat upon the enemy's legitimate surrender. The loophole is closed.
The vote was unanimous. Across the galaxy, military lawyers updated protocols. The human draft would be the last of its kind. In the observation gallery, Grand General Varek watched, his uniform replaced with a simple gray tunic. He was a cautionary tale now.
I drafted them to be cannon fodder. Now they are a law.
The Reeves Protocol entered the interstellar legal code. A mercenary force that cannot be turned off enforces its own exit contract. A human diplomat leaned back in a leather chair, reading the final draft. She allowed herself a small, knowing smile. On Earth, the headline read, "Coalition pays GDP, changes law, humanity collects." The stock market rallied, and in a quiet barracks room, a knife lay still on a metal envelope, a fruit basket glowing beside it. Daniel Reeves was already asleep. The war was over. The invoice was paid, and tomorrow there would be a new contract. On Earth, the Global Fund was already at work. The Coalition's payment built schools, hospitals, and starports. A golden age dawned.
You believe this? We got hazard pay, victory bonus, and a fruit basket. Best job ever.
Grand General Varek's resignation was accepted by the Council. He received a small pension and a reminder that his actions were now a case study.
I will be remembered as the fool who drafted his own undoing. A footnote in someone else's contract.
On the Krath homeworld, Envoy Telk stood at a new memorial. The war had ended, and his people were rebuilding, not as conquerors, but as survivors.
New offer. Corporate security. Triple the last contract. Looks like war never gets old.
Humanity became the galaxy's most sought-after military consultants. The human clause was taught alongside the art of war.
And so we added a simple rule to our legal code. Never draft a force you cannot afford to fire. The Reeves Protocol will stand for millennia.
Daniel Reeves packed his knife, the fruit basket long since donated to a local shelter. A new ship, a new contract waited. The war was a closed chapter. But for soldiers like Daniel, the next invoice always comes due, and the grin, it never fades. Earth's cities gleamed, funded by the Coalition's desperation. A monument to the draftees stood in Geneva, its plaque etched with a single line. They fought because they were paid. They stopped for the same reason. Ask not for loyalty, but for a clear contract. In a dusty launch bay, Daniel Reeves walked the ramp of a civilian freighter, his knife still at his belt. A new job, a new system.
Sarge always said, no war ever ends. It just waits for a new invoice.
Grand General Varric never wore medals again. His final report was a blank page. The Coalition quietly retired his command code. The Krath rebuilt their cities, and every year they sent a single fruit basket to Earth. It became a tradition of dark humor. The knife never rusted, the invoice never closed, and somewhere, Daniel's dead-eyed grin waited for the next call. Fade to black. The screen flickers one last time. A single line of text. The human clause. Never conscript what you cannot afford to fire. Then, a faint, echoing sound of a knife being sharpened, and silence. Months passed. The Coalition never again conscripted a species without an off switch. The galaxy learned a lesson paid in economic shocks. Grand General Varric died in obscurity. His final written words were a single line. It was a contract. Envoy Telk became a peace ambassador. He often told the story of the fruit basket to new diplomats, a cautionary tale wrapped in humor. The monument in Geneva became a site for mercenaries to flick knife shavings, each fleck a silent prayer for the next contract. Daniel Reeves' knife eventually ended up in a museum, but the legend insisted a copy always lay next to an unsigned contract. The Reeves Protocol remained a cornerstone of interstellar law, a permanent reminder that a mercenary's loyalty ends where the payment stops. And on Earth, every year, a fruit basket arrived from the Krath. The card never changed. With thanks, please do not return. Somewhere, in the black between stars, a ship carried a soldier with a dead-eyed grin. The next invoice was already being drafted. Black screen. A final, faint hum of a ship engine. Then silence.